Hey guys, I'm doing another Yu-Gi-Oh Q&A, and I think I'm going to start maybe making this a weekly thing because I think it's a lot of fun and it'll give me a way to interact with you guys. So maybe for now we'll set it for Friday. Every Friday I'll do a new one of these and you guys can just keep posting questions below. But for now, just get into the questions. So first off, Simply Yu-Gi-Oh asked me a ruling question. He asked me about number 64. So he's asking about Super Rush Recklessly. When Sandio is on the field, he gets protected from tokens so he can't be destroyed, and Super Rush Recklessly requires you to destroy a monster to use its effect. So the idea is basically he's wondering, because his card can't be destroyed at the time of using Super Rush Recklessly, will he still get the bounce effect? And the answer is no, because that specific card requires you to have both of those things happen at once. So if your Sandio is not going to be destroyed, you can't use Super Rush Recklessly. So I would use Super Rush Recklessly, on the tokens or something like that, but you can't use it on a card that won't be destroyed. Now Spartan6790 is asking me about Lightning Chidori and Fiendish Chain. So this one I'm not 100% sure on, but I'll give my opinion and what I think and from what I've heard from other people, is that if Lightning Chidori activates off on a set card that can be activated, the set card can still be activated. So what happens is the Fiendish Chain can get activated if it's targeted for Lightning Chidori's effect and can just negate Lightning Chidori. So Fiendish Chain should work on Chidori from what I've heard. He's also asking me about his second effect. Lightning Chidori's second effect won't be able to be used. I mean, you can activate it because Fiendish Chain doesn't stop you from activating those effects that require cost. So I'm pretty sure you can still detach an XYZ from Chidori, but you won't be able to activate that effect to bounce face-up cards. Again, that's just from what I've heard and from what I've seen around. Not 100% sure on this one, but yeah, Chidori specifies a set card, so that's how it should work. But again, the great thing about YouTube is if I'm wrong about any of these, I can have a stream of comments below correcting me. But again, that's from what I've heard for those rulings. So David Wolford asked me about whether a Legendary Ocean or a Mermail deck is better. And the obvious choice here is that a Mermail deck is much better. Mermails are a very competitive deck. They just have a lot of swarming and a lot of different plays they can make. If you want a strong deck nowadays, Mermail is a great choice. There are other really strong decks now, but Mermails. If you want a strong water deck, definitely pick Mermails. I still, like both of those decks, Legendary Ocean and Mermails. They're both fun to play, but Mermails are meant to be super competitive these days because of the prevalence of people using those powerful 7-star XYZs and things like that. Now, Andres Nava asked me a few different questions. So first off, he's asking me about Trap Stun versus Royal Decree. So this is big into your deck type and what type of thing you're going for. Royal Decree is a card you use for the long haul when you really want an anti-trap build, when you don't want to run traps, and you really just want to make sure traps aren't going to be on the field at all for the duration of the duel. That's what Royal Decree is for. Trap Stun is for big play decks. Decks that swarm all at once, that go for OTKs, that go for those big kills. That's the type of thing that Trap Stun is for. It depends on your deck type, really. If your deck type does all of its stuff at once, you'll want to go for Trap Stun. Obviously, the big thing about Trap Stun is that, you don't have to worry about MST. So you can really lock down your opponent very easily. I definitely love using Trap Stun, and it just, it's dependent on deck type. If you ask me about a specific deck type, I can tell you whether I prefer Trap Stun or Royal Decree on it. He also asked me about Crystal Beasts. So Crystal Beasts, in my opinion, are like just below competitive. Like, they're at the point where they're really good. They have a lot of great spell support and a lot of options, and they have OTKs. The entire archetype itself isn't that great, but the specific builds that you can use for it are really good. And there's also a lot of variations on the build, so I think Crystal Beasts have a lot of creativity. I think they're a lot of fun, and like I said, I think they're just maybe a bit competitive, but not, completely. So I would definitely say to run them if you want to. Definitely play around with them. He also asked me about Fire Princess. Fire Princess is just a very specific card that you can build decks around. If you have a heal deck, that's one of the ways that you can make it, turn into a damage deck. So Fire Princess is really interesting tech in a lot of different decks, and it can build your own deck around it. Maybe I'll do a Fire Princess deck one day to show off the true power of that kind of card. So that's it for all the questions I received this week. Again, if you have any questions for me, what you got to do is just post below in the comments and I'll probably answer them. You could ask me about decks, you can ask me about certain cards, you can ask me about rulings like you did here. You could ask me about personal questions if you want. Maybe I'll answer those. You can ask me about YouTube, anything you guys want to ask me about, preferably Yu-Gi-Oh stuff though, if you can. But, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you later.